Coming to you live from the JRE Tobacco Aladino Mobile Studios, it's the Cigar Pulpit.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another sermon from the Cigar Pulpit. I'm the Bishop of the Burn, Nick, and today we're going to be talking about some celebratory cigars, but not the normal celebratory cigars that we think of. We're not talking about ones to celebrate, like a birth of a kid or a marriage or even a divorce. We are talking about celebratory cigars that celebrate our country's 250th anniversary, which is coming up this July. And a number, admittedly 3, cigar companies so far have jumped into the game making celebratory cigars for that. Now, I would anticipate more will, but I have press releases right now for 3. So I figure, you know what, we'll start the announcements and we'll start getting that out and we'll talk about that. But first, I want to have a cigar. So today, I am going to be smoking something else that I've been diving deep in the humidor. I told you guys I've been working through the humidor. I've been organizing stuff, getting it ready. I put in some work. I've been putting in some work, and I found a box of cigars in and amongst the other boxes of cigars that I have, and it's one that I didn't realize I had as many of these as I do. Admittedly, after tonight, I think I'll have like 6 or 7 left, but still, I feel like that's a lot. Anyway, tonight I will be smoking the Brick House Ciento por Ciento, but it's the TAA 2020 edition. This was the one that came out in 2020 for the Tobacconists Association of America, the TAA. It was an exclusive cigar for them. And I remember buying this box when I went and visited the J.C. Newman factory in Tampa back in November of 2020. So I've been sitting on these now for, 5 years plus some months, So, and I dig it because it's a 6 1/4 by 54. It only came in the one size. And the cigar is a Nicaraguan Puro, highlighted by a Habana seed wrapper over a Nicaraguan, a blend of Nicaraguan tobaccos from 3 different growing regions. So there you go. It's a brick house that knows somebody. It's a brick house with a little spice and a little bit more oomph behind it. So that's what I'm going to be smoking tonight. And so, but I realized I haven't gotten it out of the cellophane yet, and I need to work on that. Oh, it is a little tight in there actually. There's a throwback for some folks. Wasn't my throwback. I just ripped it off. But anyway, we got that. It did have, to look at it, it's just a brick house. However, it did have a special J.C. Newman 125th anniversary foot band on the cigar. And that's how you knew that it was that. So anyway, we are going to give this guy a cut and a light, and the official cutting is brought to you by 2guyscigars.com. That's the number 2guyscigars.com. 2 Guys have been around for 40 years, and they are the trusted name in the cigar industry. Everybody knows 2 Guys, but if you don't, please give them a try. You won't be sorry. Family owned and operated, 2guyscigars.com does the very best to provide a great selection, fair prices, and excellent customer service. So head on over to 2guyscigars.com for your next cigar purchase, and tell them that the Cigar Pulpit sent you. And remember, that's the number 2guyscigars.com. All right. Oh, we're cutting the cigar. All right, so we're going to get this guy cut, and then from there, we're going to fire this up, and we'll have a conversation. So anyway, here, I'll cut it real quick, because I want to, we'll do that. There we go. We get the satisfying ASMR of the cutting noise. I thought about that at one point. I'm always thinking of show ideas, and I'm like, I could do an ASMR episode at some point, where all it is just me and the mic being like, so we're gonna smoke our cigar, and the smoke, it just rolls off the tip of the cigar and fills your nostrils with the sweet tobacco smell. And as you relax in your chair and hold the cigar firmly yet softly between your fingers, your mind begins to wander thinking about the events of the day. You know, something like that just kind of puts you to sleep. You know, those stupid things, those ASMR things. I don't know. I don't like the ones where people talk. I like the ones with like ocean noise or crackling bonfire. You know, those things. They'll help me go to sleep, but not the one person talking. But anyway, while I light the cigar, you guys get to hear the greatest commercial you've ever heard.
Some say cigars are all the same. It's just not true. It's you I have to blame.
Well, I don't know, 'cause what I know, there is a cigar called Aladino.
Corojo. Aladino Corojo. Aladino Corojo. They say authentic, so we're not confused, while the others say it's a word that's just abused.
I guess that's so. They can't compete. At least I'm sure Aladino can't be beat.
Corojo. Aladino Corojo. Aladino Corojo. Aladino Cigars uses authentic Corojo tobacco from JRE Tobacco. This is the greatest commercial you ever heard.
Yeah. All righty. Well, let's just jump right into it, shall we? Oh, let me get back to, I was talking about how I've been working through the humidor. And I've been finding treasures. I'm finding all kinds of cigars that you know how it is. You accumulate cigars, and before you know it, you've lost track of something, and then you go back and you're like, holy shit, I've been sitting on this for a little while. And I found some good stuff. So I'm trying to get it all organized so that I can kind of piece it together and, you know, like, okay, this is the stuff I want to smoke now. This stuff I still want to hang on to. This is stuff I could get rid of, you know, because that's the other thing. You do accumulate some stuff that you're like, do I even want that? Yeah, so I'm trying to piece it all together, but I've been doing things. So like, for my cabinet humidor, I bought these puck lights, and they're just little LEDs. You got a 6-pack of them with a remote control over at Lowe's for like $30, and they're great because one remote, hit the on button, boom, all 6 lights come on. Makes my humidor look great. I can look at everything, see it all. But they came with command strips to attach, and I tried that, and what I found is that humidity and command strips don't get along. They don't work. And so it didn't work. They lost their their stickiness. And so one of the pucks fell down. And so I was trying to figure out, okay, what can I do? How can I fix this? And now the puck lights had magnets on the backs, but they're very, very weak. Very, very weak magnets. So I was like, okay, how can I do something that works? So again, I went to Lowe's and I found little disc magnets. And I brought one of the lights with me. And sure enough, the magnet on the back of the puck light and the disc magnet, dude, great connection. I mean, they stuck well. So I'm like, all right, cool. So I got that. I got a little bit of super glue, you know, and I just glued the magnets to the trays, like the shelves, and then I can stick the lights on, and it works great. I didn't put enough glue to where you get a whole lot of I didn't want odor. I didn't want any sort of like super gluey odor in the humidor, so that worked out well. But no, so that's actually been doing really well. The lighting in the cabinet has gone really well. Then I moved my I had like a wine frigidor, you know. It's an old wine fridge that the compressor apparently went out on. And so basically it's just a big box that has a good seal. So I have a Cigar Oasis in there, and it works really well for a humidor. But what it didn't work well for is storing singles, because with that, I didn't have any boxes. So I went to IKEA. and I got some boxes at IKEA, and I loaded those in there, and now I've got all the singles loaded in there, and that's storing really, really well, to where at this point, I don't even have any Tupper doors going anymore. It's either in the cabinet or it's in the Winador. And so it's a good little system that I've got going now. Now it's just organization. It's going through, seeing what I have and organizing it in such a way where I know, okay, this has all of the Aladinos, this has all of the Villigers, this has all of the Fuentes, this has all of the Perdomos. You know, I kind of have them organized around, so I know where to look for what I want. So that's happening. That's happening. I'm getting that going, and I'm happy about that, because it's been about damn time. I've never really had the proper space to do this, and I haven't had the proper, like, setup and organization. But now I've got it, and I'm happy about that. Anyway, that's just my little humidor update. Someday I will film a humidor tour for you guys, but I want it to be done before I do that. Anyway, so as I said earlier, we're going to talk about the 250th anniversary of the United States and kind of how the cigar industry is commemorating it, because heaven forbid the cigar industry see any sort of thing that they can latch onto and make a special cigar for. You know, we're already doing the year of the whatever the hell for the Chinese Zodiac, which, explain that to me, other than the fact that they want to capitalize on the growing Chinese cigar market. But, you know, whatever, that's neither here nor there. So we got that going on. We have St. Patrick's Day, which is like the one time a year that Alec Bradley makes any money whatsoever with the Filthy Hooligan. You've got Halloween, where Tatawahe comes out with their Monster series, and then here comes Alec Bradley, at least last year, trying to do the Ghoul-again, which it's like, come on, you have St. Patrick's Day, let's leave Halloween alone. Nobody really capitalizes on Christmas all that well, except for doing gift packs, but I'm a little surprised. I'm a little surprised nobody has, like, you know, the Jolly St. Nick, and it's like a real bulbous, you know, cigar or something like that. I don't know. There's a few companies that have done football-shaped ones for the Super Bowl. You know, I would... Here's a free one for Drew Estate. Why don't you think about doing an acid that tastes like a Thanksgiving dinner? Has all the components of a Thanksgiving dinner. You get the turkey, you get that gravy, the potato, and maybe like some pumpkin pie, all, and cranberry, all mixed into like the flavor of in the acid cigar, and maybe put that out and call it, like, you know, the big feast or something like that. You know, I mean, I'm throwing out free ideas here. But 4th of July. Nobody really has put their flag in the ground for that one, and but I'm wondering if we're going to see something bloom with this year, because this year is the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence, 1776, 2026. You can do the math, and so this year at PCA we got at least. Well, actually, not even a PCA. Some of them are already shipping. We've got some cigars that are commemorating that. Now, the first one I will talk about is the one that announced the most recently. Just earlier this week, Fratello actually came out and talked about how at the PCA convention and trade show in April, Fratello will be showing off the Fratello USA 250. It's a 6x54 Toro using a Nicaraguan wrapper over Pennsylvania binder and fillers from the Dominican Republic and Pennsylvania. It's got a MSRP of $20, and it's limited to only 250 boxes of 13 cigars. I understand the 13 count. Yeah, there it is. The 13 count box symbolizes the original 13 colonies. So I get that. 250 boxes? I mean, you know, look, Fratello, no disrespect whatsoever, but why bother? 250 boxes. I mean, like, that's going to go, I would think that would go fairly quickly, but maybe they just don't want any sitting around. But I mean, yeesh. again, I get the symbolism there. They're going for the 250 because it's the 250th anniversary. But, I mean, I don't know. That just feels extraordinarily way too limited on that. But whatever. So you can, if you're lucky enough to stumble across a Fratello 250, USA 250 or what? Yeah, the USA 250. You got that one to consider. Sorry, I'm trying to get the cigar going. I don't think I puffed on it enough in the beginning to like really get it going, and so it's wanting to go out on me like right away. The next one comes to us. I'll do the one that announced first now, because I have a point to this. Anyway, so Fratello, super limited, but they're doing it, and it's $20. The next one is going to be, it's a technical thing, from JC Newman. So JC Newman, they have partnered with the United States, oh God, now I got to pronounce this, Semi-Quincentennial Commission. And that is going to allow them to brand their cigars with a special footband that has the America 250 logo on it. It's the official logo of the Semi-Quincentennial Commission, meaning, I guess, quincentennial meaning 500 years, but this is the semi, so it's 250 years. Anyway, so they have this official footband, and basically every product that is made at El Reloj, the factory in Tampa there, will have this special footband on it. And so that is going to consist of, sorry, I'm digging through this here. I should have highlighted the press release before I did this. The branding is going to be added to all cigars JC Newman rolls by hand in Tampa, which includes the lines such as the American, Angel Cuesta Rosado, Angel Cuesta Shade, the Leroy Neiman, and Tampa Smokers. So those 5, plus I guess anything else they happen to make at El Reloj, will have these special America 250 footbands on it. Now the thing is, where this becomes a little complicated is your average brick and mortar is probably unlikely to be able to call JC Newman and just be like, hey, I want the American, the 250 American, whatever. Because it's not like it's like a separate cigar. It's their normal American just with an additional footband on it. Kind of like when they put like a footband on there commemorating the anniversary of the company. And the thing about it is, the American is a highly, how do I put this? They control who gets the American because there's only so many rollers at the El Reloj factory making it. Supply is very limited. And because supply is very limited, they have benchmarks that retailers have to adhere to in order to qualify to carry the American. And so your average brick and mortar retailer that doesn't really carry the full line of JC Newman and blah 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 and all that and everything, they may not qualify to get the American, in which case they're probably not gonna have it. I don't know what their qualifications for the Angel Cuesta. Leroy Neiman, that's a Tampa only thing, I believe, and then Tampa Smokers, I definitely think that's probably a Tampa only thing. I don't know, but so it seems like the products that are going to be branded with the America 250 from JC Newman are relatively scarce in their own way due to the way they're produced, and also due to the limitations put on retailers as to who can actually carry them. And I'm not necessarily saying anything bad about JC Newman by saying that. When I get it. If you have 3 guys rolling the American every day, you're only going to be able to produce so many cigars. You're not going to be able to make enough cigars to go to everybody. And the whole point of that cigar is that it is made entirely from American-grown tobacco, packaged in all packaging made in the United States and rolled by people in the United States. It's a fully, truly American cigar. And so unless you were to open up a cigar factory in the United States that has like 500 people rolling, like they would down in Nicaragua or Honduras or somewhere, you're not going to be able to get the production that you need for that cigar. But the problem with doing that is it's going to cost so much more to hire that many rollers and pay them at, United States minimum wage at the very least to make those cigars. So realistically, it's not realistic to scale up the American to a point where anybody can get it. So I understand why it's limited. I'm just saying that once again, the American 250 from J.C. Newman is probably going to be very similar to the Fratello USA 250 in that it's going to be fairly difficult for you to track down and enjoy. However, it's not so much a different cigar. It's just a footman. So, I mean, there's that too. It's extra branding, and that's fine. No big deal. I'm just pointing it out that's what it is. Now, the last one is the one that I'm actually the most excited about, and it's the one that I feel like has the most potential to be a thing that we can all enjoy. However, full disclosure, it's one of my advertisers. So, it is what it is because they're doing it in such a way that I feel like it's going to be the most readily available for everybody. So Aladino is also doing a semi-quincentennial cigar. They have a cigar called the Aladino Declaration. It's a 6x52 Toro. It's going to ship to stores in June. And while they are not disclosing details about the blend, other than that it's made entirely from their tobacco, the cigar will come in boxes of 13, once again, honoring the 13 colonies. The MSRP on the cigar will be $15, so it's going to be $5 cheaper than the Fratello USA 250. And the box on this thing, it's really, really cool. So on the outside, it's got the Betsy Ross flag on the top of it, and then when you flip it up and go on the inside, it's going to have the modern American flag, and on the white stripes, they have text from the Declaration of Independence on there. And so, it's a super rah-rah American cigar, I mean, is it made entirely in America? No. Is it made from American products and everything? No. But, it definitely gets the United States, pro-United States across in the packaging and the branding. What I like about it is that, again, there's not, I've checked with Trey Mac, there's no limitations on this one. Any Aladino account can order this cigar. It will be limited. The number of boxes that they're making at this point is kind of up in the air. Let's just put it this way. I've heard that it's 1,000 boxes. From me to you, Justo, if you're listening to this, and I don't think you ever listen to my show, and that's probably for the best, but if you're listening to this, Justo, this is an opportunity. This is one that when you look at the other two press releases that I've talked about, when you have Fratello coming out with 250 boxes, and you have J.C. Newman doing the American, which is a limited product by its own design, this is an opportunity for you to come in and be the cigar of the 4th of July, the cigar of the semi-quincentennial by flooding the market with your Declaration cigar. Go for it. Take the opportunity and go for it. Trust it that it can be done. This is an opportunity for you to come in and do this. So personally, I don't know. I don't know what your sales team can do. But I know that you have, 7, 8 Aladino lounges now. You've got some big accounts that do some stuff. And personally, I think the answer, I think 1,000 boxes is going to be light. I do. But be that as it may, maybe you do 1,000 boxes. It sells out super quick. You see the potential. This is where I'm going with this. Alec Bradley owns St. Patrick's Day. Tatawahe owns Halloween. Dunbarton Tobacco, they've done that one at Christmas time that's made with the pipe tobacco. What is it, Stillwell Star or whatever? That's at least an entry that comes out at Christmas time. So I'll even give them, some small flag in the ground at Christmas time. This right here, the declaration, that's an opportunity for Aladino to own the 4th of July. And so I would highly recommend you track the sales this year, see where they go, see what the response is to this cigar, and do it again next year. You've got the box design, keep the same box design, maybe throw a year on it, and, call it a day. You could do the same blend. You could even change the blend and make it like an annual kind of deal. The only thing I'll say about that, watch what you do there. Make sure it's not like the Las Calaveras where it starts out good and then it starts going to poop. And then by the time it's like whatever, then nobody's, interested. I mean, I haven't bought a Las Calaveras in a couple years because it just, it started just declining. And anyway, shots fired at Crown Heads, I guess. But anyway, I would just say, if you're going to make it a different blend, try to keep the consistency, don't like cheap out on the, not that I think you would, but I'm just saying that would be my concern there. Otherwise, just keep the same blend if it's good and roll with it. So anyway, it's an opportunity for Aladino to own the 4th of July if they want to. But that's where we're at. We got some cigars coming for the 4th of July that will be all decked out in the red, white, and blue. And, you guys will be able to enjoy those and celebrate the country's semi-quincentennial. Sorry, I have to keep looking at that because it's such an odd word. It's a combination of a couple of different words there, and it's throwing me off. Anyway, that's the news on that front. I would say, like I said, I would say that Aladino has the upper hand there because, like I said, they have the ability, if they want to scale it up, they can do. I mean, they could scale it up and do 200 or 2,500 boxes. Why go 250? Let's go 2,500. Then at that point, you've got a bunch of them you can put out there and really just get them out. And let the people try them, especially since their boxes are 13. I mean, let's you do the math on that for a moment. So they're $15 cigars, 13 in a box. So 13 times 15. That means a box is less than $200. It's $195. Most stores do like a 10% box discount. Maybe I'm not going to say that they all do, but assuming they don't, it's still a box under $200. It may be one of those things where people buy the box just because the box is cool. So, I could see where 1,000 flies pretty quickly. We'll see. Now, do I think those 3 are the only 3 that are going to do this? Absolutely not. I would put money. I'd put legit money down that at PCA, we're going to see a number of other companies also coming out with 250th anniversary cigars. It would be shocking to me, absolutely 100% shocking to me, if United Cigars doesn't do something. I mean, for God's sakes, their band is already the American flag. So it would take next to nothing for United Cigars to do some sort of a special 250th, United States anniversary cigar and put it out that way. Besides, it's something they can commemorate. They're big with the military, between the Gold Star and everything there. They have their normal United line. It's a no-brainer, absolute no-brainer for United Cigars to do something for the 250th birthday of the United States. I could also see Perdomo, maybe. He doesn't do really... I'm trying to think. I can't tell you. I don't know if I can think of a Perdomo limited edition cigar, short of like the firecracker that's made for two guys, or something. So realistically, that might surprise me now that I think about it. That I was going to say Perdomo would be also kind of a given Nick Perdomo and his military service. But on the flip side of that, they don't really dabble in the limited edition game. So maybe I'm wrong. That one, flip of a coin on that one. I could see if they did it, I could see it because of the military service thing. If they don't do it, I could see that because they don't dabble in limited edition stuff. Either way, I don't think it would be that it would be what it is. But any company that does dabble in limited edition, Davidoff does a year of the whatever for China, or the Chinese Zodiac. Who else does that? It feels like fucking everybody does that these days. So truthfully, there could be all sorts of companies coming out with a 250th anniversary cigar at PCA. These are just the ones that got press releases out earlier than the others. Now I will say, JC Newman, they are gonna their cigars with the America 250 band on it will start shipping like very, very soon, if not now. So realistically, you're going to start seeing the America 250 foot bands on those products in stores relatively soon. The other two, it looks like June is the target date for that. I know the Aladino is June, and the Fratello begin shipping in early June. So yeah, so both the Fratello and the Aladino will be hitting stores in June. So, but those are more specific to the actual event. Like I said, United given, there's smaller brands, like there's Warfighter cigars. I could see them thinking about doing like something, like they're a significantly smaller brand. But being veteran owned and theming their cigars based on the military, I could see them deciding to do some, pro USA 250 cigar. But yeah, I think it'll be interesting. That might be something I kind of keep track of and count when I'm at PCA is, how many people are coming out with, 250th anniversary cigars. It might be something I have to do because it might be a fun little side quest for PCA. Anyway, so I got that going on. What else do we have on the agenda for today? I want to do a little bit of housekeeping in terms of stuff going on here, and maybe I want to get your input on an idea that I have. So the first thing I want you guys to check out is I have a side project that I've started doing. It's called Drive Time Reviews. And I posted the first one on Wednesday to the Pulpit's YouTube and Rumble account. And basically what I'm doing is I'm reviewing a cigar as I drive. I drive a lot, guys. I drive a lot. Between, driving to the printer on Wednesdays and getting the newspapers and doing the deliveries and then running errands all around and this and that and whatever. I'm in the car quite a bit. And I smoke in the car quite a bit. And typically, it's just kind of dead smoking time. It's just I'm driving, I'm smoking, and I'm listening to music or podcasts or something like that. So I have these new lapel mics. They work really nice. And I figure, you know what? Let's take advantage of the time in the car and let's review a cigar. And so I set up a little setup and I tried it out this past Wednesday. I smoked the McAuliffe White and I did the first Pulpit drive time review. So you can head on over there and check that out. The McAuliffe White one, it's about 13 minutes. I'm aiming to get it down to an average of around 8 minutes. I don't want them to, they're not going to be long. I come in, I intro the cigar, light it, maybe give the impression of, any sort of flavors or whatever off the foot, come back, do a little update in the middle to end of the first third, come back, do one at like the halfway point of the cigar, come back, do something at the final third of the cigar, give a score. I'm actually scoring cigars in these. Score and strength rating, and then I cut it off. It's just a cigar review. One of the things that I've been thinking about a lot lately is that this show, I tend to, we get onto all kinds of different topics. It's a cigar podcast, and I'm always smoking a cigar, and sometimes we have very cigar heavy episodes, but sometimes there's episodes that are kind of light, on the cigar stuff. We talk about other things taking place in the world and in our lives, and so, sometimes they're a little cigar light. And so I figure, this is a good way for me to utilize my time in the car. And create some more actual cigar content for those people that are interested in that. And quite frankly, there are some people, believe it or not, that don't want to hear me just ramble on for an hour while I smoke a cigar. And some people just want to know, what does this guy think about the McAuliffe White? What does this guy think about X cigar? Whatever. And so this is an opportunity for those people to, hear my review and move on with life. And quite frankly, a lot of people only like short videos on these platforms. I know for me, when I go on YouTube and I'm scrolling around and browsing, if something is too long, I think long and hard about starting it. It's a commitment. If something is like less than 10 minutes, I'm like, I'll watch that. That's less than 10 minutes. That's no big deal. But if something's like 20 minutes, 30 minutes, God forbid an hour or longer, I think very long and hard about watching it. I'm very specific at that point because quite frankly, I don't pay for YouTube, so I get commercials like all the freaking time. And that pisses me right off. I can't stand the commercials on YouTube these days. I used to like to go on YouTube and watch concerts. I can find a concert video or something, put that on in the background, and then I have, the audio from that, and I could also have, the video if I look up. Fuck, now you put on a concert, middle of a freaking song, liberty, 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 blah, 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 blah. It's like, fuck, I can't stand it. And the problem is, for me to pay for YouTube is not a cheap subscription. To get rid of the ads like that, that's not a cheap subscription. And so I don't do it. But yeah, so anyway, I'm doing the 8-minute reviews. Or I'm trying to get it down to 8 minutes. It's going to take me a minute to kind of figure it out because you know how it is. It's something new, so I kind of ramble a little bit too much at times, but I'm getting there. So anyway, so check out the drive time reviews. Like I said, the first one's up now. Every Wednesday, I will post a new drive time review. And, it's just something additional that you can find over on the video components of the Pulpit, be it YouTube and Rumble. I guess theoretically I could also upload them to Facebook in the parishioners group, but I don't know. I need to figure out another video site that, in case YouTube decides to be stupid, I need to find another video site that I can put them on other than just Rumble. Rumble's weird. Their ads are also kind of screwy. So I need to, I don't know, but I guess all of them are putting ads in their shit. The other thing I wanted to talk to you guys about, the other thing that I want your input. I want to do a series of episodes. I don't even know how many episodes it would even take. I guess it depends on what you guys tell me would be important to know. And mind you, what I want from you guys, I don't want what you guys necessarily need, because I don't think you guys need this. Maybe you do. Maybe you're a new smoker and you need this. Cigars 101. So I had a very interesting thing take place. I had somebody reach out to me and ask if they could share my phone number with somebody, because the person they want to share my number with is dabbling in cigars and they need help. And let's put it this way. The person that reached out to me and inquired about this, and the person who needs help, I mean, what the fuck? Life takes some really funky, ironic turns at times. That's all I'm going to say about that, because I don't know if they listen and I don't want to piss anybody off. But let's put it this way. Somebody that knows that I'm into cigars reached out, inquired to see if they could share my number with somebody else, and, whatever. And so I was texting back and forth to that person. They smoke acids primarily, and they basically were wanting to know, hey, what are some comparable cigars that are maybe a little cheaper? Where would be a good place to purchase them? They inquired about like getting a humidor, and setting that up and everything. So I was kind of giving some like Cigar 101 advice to this person via text. And it got me thinking. I'm like, people, they need this. You can go online and you can find videos all over the place, but this person didn't do that. They wanted somebody that they could talk to, interact with, whatever. And I'm not necessarily saying that I want to do like an interactive kind of deal, but I guess my question was, what topics do you think are important for someone who is dabbling in and getting into cigars to know? There's the obvious ones, cut and light methods. This person was inquiring about getting humidors on Amazon, and I'm like, oh God, watch that. It's like a lot of cheap shit on Amazon. I gave him some low cost alternatives. I told him, I gave him all the way up. It's like, you can start with this, you can do this, and eventually if you want to get a box, like an actual like wooden humidor box, you could do that. But I guess my thought is some Cigars 101. There's terminology that we use that we know that maybe other people's don't. Retrohale, for example. There's a lot of people that don't know what a retrohale is. And, if you don't, it's when you draw in the smoke and you push a little out your mouth, but then you push the rest of it through your nasal cavity, so you blow it out your nose. And that opens up your sense of smell to the smoke and everything, and you get different flavor. It opens up different flavor notes in the smoke. But that's the thing. Some people, we use terminology that people don't necessarily understand. And I think it's one of those things that cigar shows, I know that the Cigar Authority has done a 101, and that sort of thing. But like, I think we do it infrequently enough, but there's new people coming in all the time that it's never a bad thing to just kind of like rehash it a little bit every once in a while. And also, I think it's good for even the seasoned cigar smoker to rehash it a little bit, because I think we get lazy. I can't tell you how many times, like with cutting and lighting, I see people just, they've been smoking forever. They get lazy with it. And, my burn's off, my blah, blah, blah. And it's like, if you'd have just taken an extra 15 seconds to light it properly, you wouldn't have this problem, that sort of thing. And I'm not saying I'm even perfect. There's a reason why, if you notice in the first drive time review, I talk about how I park the car and I light the cigar in a parked car, because I don't like lighting my cigar while I'm driving, because I can't do that. It's just, it's sloppy, and it results in a poor experience. So I always park my car when I drive. when I'm smoking or prepping a cigar to drive with. And so anyway, I guess my question is, like, if you are a newer smoker and you're listening to this, what topics do you think I should explore? What topics do you want to know? Even if you're not a new smoker, maybe you're somebody that's been smoking for a while and you're just like, I don't know about this. What's something that, you want to know about? So you can email me at nick@cigarpulpit.com. That's NICK at cigarpulpit.com. You can call the hotline, but probably email is the best for this. That way I can get it all compiled in one spot and it won't I don't know. I would think email would be best. But yeah, if you have any ideas for like Cigar 101 related stuff, let me know. I don't know if it would be a full episode or if maybe I would film little short things like I've been doing with the drive time reviews so that, it's separate. That way, I don't know. We'll see. But it's just something I was thinking about that it might be helpful for some folks. Otherwise, yeah, that's that. So with that, why don't we jump into this now?
It's time for the Villiger Cigars Entertainment Report, brought to you by
Villiger.
Villiger Cigars, one of the leading cigar and cigarello manufacturers in the world, founded in 1888 and still family-owned and operated. Head over to VilligerCigars.com and check the store locator to find a shop near you that carries them. We guarantee that Villiger Cigars will be a wonderful addition to your humidor and cigar rotation.
All right. By the way, this brick house, Ciento por Ciento, very thick smoke going on with it. And it's sitting a little heavier than a normal brick house does. I always say this about this cigar. It's a brick house that knows somebody. This one, for whatever reason, whatever tobaccos they have in this is, if they put out a brick house like this all the time, like if this was a standard issue brick house, holy shit, it would be, I'd be there all day long. I like the normal brick house natural. This thing is way better than the normal brick house natural. I would smoke this a lot. So for what it's worth, JC Newman put out the brick house Santa. Just do it again as another TAA release so I can get it again. I think you guys did it in 2019 and 2020. You may have done it again since then. I don't know. But yeah, just do it this again so I can at least get another box of these things that I can sit on for 5 years. That would be nice. Anyway, all right. Villiger Entertainment Report. I have been heavy into documentaries this week. I stumbled into watching the 80s on HBO. I talked about that, I think, in the last episode. It was put out by CNN, and it was a 7-part thing all about the 80s. And I think the last time I talked about it, I think I had like 2 episodes to go. And so I watched those 2. One was on music, and I don't remember what the last one was on. Doesn't matter. Anyway, super entertaining. I liked it. It was fun. And I like documentaries. That then led me into watching another documentary that came up as a recommendation called Watergate: Blueprint for a Scandal. It was a 4-part deal. It had oh my God, I'm drawing a blank on the guy's name, and I'm doing John Dean. John Dean was the White House lawyer during the time that Watergate took place, and holy shit, he's still alive. Okay, all right. So anyway, John Dean was the lawyer for the Nixon White House during Watergate, and he essentially was the snitch. Like he by the time it got to a point where he was wrapped up in it, but it got to a point where it seemed like the White House was getting ready to make him the fall guy. He decided, I'm not going to be the fall guy. I'm going to put out the truth. And so he went and he basically told his story to Congress, and everything started to fall after he came out with his story. And anyway, he was the, I think, executive producer of this documentary with some folks. I think it also may have been a CNN production. And he talks, it's a very interesting documentary because the first episode basically gives all of the background about Watergate, the actual break-in. And then from there, it kind of goes, through the process. The second episode, you learn a little bit more about Woodward and Bernstein, who, covered everything for the Washington Post. They were the subject of the book and the film, All the President's Men, and their investigation into everything. And it was a really cool documentary, because then from there, it got into some of the stuff you don't hear about. You always hear about the break-in, and you hear about Woodward and Bernstein. And then you hear about, Nixon ended up resigning and, blah, blah, blah. But you don't hear a lot about the congressional hearings and how, Congress was kind of digging into it. You don't hear a lot about, there was a judge. It starts with a name, an S. Damn it. Why do I do this to myself? I don't, Sirica? Judge John Sirica? He was the federal judge that presided over the trials leading to the origin of the Watergate scandal. And so, essentially, he was the judge that was over the trial of the 7 guys that they had brought in connection to the break-in. So there were the 5 guys. There was the 1 guy, and then the 4 Cuban guys that worked, that did the actual break-in. Then there was G. Gordon Liddy and Howard Hunt, I feel like, that were associated with that. So 7 guys, and he was the judge over that. Well, the prosecutor was just only worried about these 7 guys, and the judge recognized that this goes higher than these 7 guys. And he's wondering, why is this prosecutor not pursuing up the ladder? And so the judge kind of took the case, he kind of took the trial on to himself. He asked a lot of questions, and he got way more involved than a judge normally would. And it kind of brought some things to light in that regard, too. Another unsung hero of Watergate. You have Walter Cronkite, who TV was not interested in Watergate. The country as a whole, by and large, for a long time, didn't give a flying shit about Watergate. It was really the Washington Post and a couple other things, but it was a Washington deal. It was only in D.C. And Walter Cronkite recognized coming into the 1972 elections that Nixon is running for re-election, and this is going on, and people need to know about this. And so Walter Cronkite of CBS News dedicated some time and did these in-depth stories about Watergate. And, again, it didn't move the needle. I mean, Nixon won in a landslide in 1972. But within a year, in 1973, Nixon's, the country is pissed because you've had hearings taking place. They've been on TV at this point. At some point, the country figured out, this is a fucking thing. And it just kind of went from there. And then you end up with the Saturday Night Massacre, where Nixon fires his attorney general, fires the independently appointed prosecutor that is looking into White House involvement into Watergate. By now, they know about the tapes. That once it came out that Nixon was taping people, things started going crazy. But there and Archibald Cox was the independent prosecutor, and he ended up getting fired by Nixon, which is a total egregious deal. And it was because Archibald Cox was pursuing the recordings. He wanted the actual recordings. And Nixon was pissed at Archibald Cox because Cox used to work for the Kennedy administration, and Nixon was still holding a major grudge against the Kennedys because John F. Kennedy beat Nixon for president in 1960. And so, anyway, it just goes from there. And it's a really fascinating documentary all into Watergate that's above and beyond what you normally hear. Here's something else I learned in this. And I probably should have known this before now. I feel it's kind of fun when you're 44 years old to learn stuff that you didn't know, and so I didn't know that the break-in that they got caught was the third time that they broke into the Democrat National Committee's office in Watergate, in the Watergate Hotel. The first time they broke in there, and or they attempted to break in there, they didn't bring the right locksmith or lockpick to get into the door, so they couldn't really get in. The second time that they went over there, they got in, but they bungled everything up so much they put a listening device in an unused office, so it wasn't really doing them any good. It was just kind of like chilling out there and not collecting anything. So this third time, the one when they got caught, sorry, I had to keep the cigar going. The third time they got caught, or the third time they went there, which is when they got caught, they were there to move that listening device and add like 3 more listening devices. And the only reason they got caught is because they put tape over the door latch, and they were supposed to remove some tape in order for it not to be noticed. Well, they didn't fucking do it. And a security guard going by sees this tape on the door and is like, oh, that's weird. I should look into this. And ends up walking in and finding these guys in the DNC office. Also, their lookout, one of them turned down the volume on their walkie-talkie. And so the lookouts at the building across the way going, you got a guard, you got a guard, you got a guard. And they can't hear anything because their walkie-talkie's turned off. So it happened. It was what it was. But yeah. So anyway, Watergate, Blueprint for a Scandal. It was a very interesting documentary. As with all things these days, it of course has to get somewhat topical political. It was filmed, I believe, in 2022. So it was leading into the next election. And so there was references to the first Trump administration. You had some folks on there kind of making comparisons to a few things. Look, I don't know your politics, and quite frankly, it doesn't really matter to me. But if you're just wanting something for historical purposes to look at, this was a good documentary. And the other thing that I liked about it is, maybe I'm naive, or maybe I'm being Pollyannish, but it was kind of nice to see that this is a situation where a president does something that's egregious and wrong, and both parties of Congress can agree to do things in a bipartisan manner to get to the bottom of it and define the truth. And they looked at a set of facts. They didn't make up facts. They didn't make up their own set of facts. They just looked at actual factual information that can be proven. And they didn't argue about the semantics of this and that. They didn't talk about, the rationale. Why did he do that? Blah, 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 blah. They just looked at what happened. And they made decisions based upon the facts. And like I said, it was bipartisan. It's not like this was a Democrat witch hunt for a Republican president that won big. Nothing like that. This was two parties setting aside politics to some degree. There was definitely still politics involved, but they looked at it and they said, okay, this is the way it is. And by God, we need more of that. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. The final thing that I started after I finished Watergate, I started watching the 90s because, I watched the 80s. I grew up in the 90s. So it's like, let's watch the 90s. I've only gotten through one so far. It's the one about the TV shows. The next episode up is about music. And it's not grabbing me nearly as well as the 80s did. But we'll see. Well, we'll get into the history ones, and I'll like the history ones a lot better. I like history, and I think that'll be more interesting. So anyway, so that's the Villiger Entertainment Report. Well, now that it's Friday, it's time for a Pinky Fun Fact. So why don't we go ahead and hear what wretched shit Pinky has to talk about?
Hey, it's your girl Pinky. Ready for a fun fact? Do you know your nuts? One male testicle is usually different than the other. The right is usually bigger. This has been Pinky, and I'll be back next time with more fun facts.
Boy, she was fixated on balls there for a little while, because last week, as I recall, she was talking about how we can die from a sharp hit to the balls. And now, this week, we're talking about how one is bigger than the other. But anyway, I don't know. I can't say as I've ever paid attention. Can't say as I've ever rooted around down there and actually felt them up to know if one is bigger than the other. I don't know. Who knows? But maybe you guys do. Maybe some of you are very well aware of which nut is bigger than the other. But yeah, we'll go from there. All right, guys. Well, it's that time where I tell you that I'm available on Instagram at the Cigar Pulpit. I'm on Facebook, where we have the Pulpit Parishioners group. You can get in on the fun over there by finding me on Facebook with that group. It's a private group. Just hit request to join. I will add you to that, and you can come on in, and you can start sharing what cigars you smoke, and you'll get show updates and all kinds of other fun stuff. I'm on Twitter/X. You can watch this on YouTube and Rumble. Also, make sure you check out the Drive Time Reviews every Wednesday on YouTube and Rumble. And what else? I need your calls for the Ask the Pulpit shows. You can call the hotline at area code 863-874-0000. That's 863-874-0000 or Tofu Pie 0000 if you're inclined to use the letters on the number keys. And then if you're not receiving the Cigar Chronicle newsletter, I put that out once a month, sometimes twice. Like I said, I think maybe in April there might be a PCA update, post-PCA. So there might be 2 in April. We'll see. That's all you got to do. Head on over to cigarpulpit.com, and a little pop-up box will come up. You can just type in your email address and add yourself to the list there, and you'll start receiving that. Regarding the Cigar Chronicle, I would like very much in April, May at the latest, to start doing print editions that will be available for free to any cigar lounge or shop that wishes them. It'd be a small stack that you can put on your counter, and you can just have them there for free for your customers and lounge dwellers to read and pour over. And there's some cigar news in there, but then there's also some other kind of goofy news that I would hope would make for good conversation pieces for guys sitting around in the cigar lounge, to discuss, talk about, goofy shit like, hey, did you see this cop down in Florida had to wrangle an emu, that kind of thing. So anyway, if you are a cigar shop that is interested in carrying the Cigar Chronicle, you can reach out to me at nick@cigarpulpit.com. That's Nick, N-I-C-K, @cigarpulpit.com. Just send me your name, your contact information, the name of the store, and the mailing address for the store. That way I know where to mail the copies. Because, again, this is totally free. It is no obligation whatsoever to you. It's just one of those little things. You can put it on the counter, and or on the coffee table in the lounge or wherever, and guys can sit and read it, and that's it. It's super easy. It's just an extra added bonus to your shop. I mean, you probably have magazines sitting around that nobody looks at. Why not add one more piece of paper to it? But anyway, hopefully people will look at it. I put my effort into it. Anyway, so we got all that going on. And then more fun new things will pop up. Like I said, the drive time reviews was kind of just a random idea, and I just decided to just do it this past Wednesday, and it worked out well, and it was easy to put together, and it wasn't a big deal. So, that's the kind of stuff. I mean, I'm gonna try to experiment, do a little bit more of that kind of stuff this year, and see what's what. Anyway, my Ciento por Ciento, Brickhouse Ciento por Ciento. I like this cigar. I'm kind of wondering if it's a little over humidified. Keeps wanting to kind of go out on me. I don't know. Maybe. I can't imagine. But then again, I don't know. I don't know why it's not wanting to stay lit properly. But I am having a little bit of a struggle with that. I don't know. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for taking time out. I appreciate it. If you stumble across any of the Fratello USA 250s, take a picture and throw it in the parishioners group. I'm curious as to where those end up in the wild, because like I said, 250 boxes is not that many. And I'm not picking on Fratello. I legitimately think that's a very small number of boxes, and I am just curious as to where they end up. That's all. But anyway, be that as it may, this has been another sermon from the Cigar Pulpit. I'm Nick. Everybody, stay safe, stay smoky. Take it easy, everyone.